From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is The Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, the Deaf Frat Guy, and the creators behind the new documentary, Am I Racist? Matt Walsh and Justin Folk. Plus the news and trending topics with me, Mike Dawson, and now, male model turned comedian. Oh, sorry, that was the intro for yesterday's guest. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. Yeah, DFG's gonna zoom in. We'll do JV and all balls. Well, you heard Dawson. Dawson's in studio. Dawson's got the news. Need to start the clock on the show, Byron. And I was almost killed by a rattlesnake last night.
Saw that.
Now, people should know I'm not hyperbolic, and I don't round up too much. I usually round down. So if I tell you something was close or close call or something, it's not hyperbole or chick talk. I pretty much mean it. DFG, I think we need to unmute the DFG, or he can unmute the DFG.
Delta Fu.
Delta Fu. Yeah, listen, I'm talking wildlife here, DFG.
I love wildlife.
Yeah, okay. So
Beavers, cougars.
yeah, all the ladies. So here's the scenario. I am going for a night walk last night in Malibu. Malibu is... The reason everyone wants to live in Malibu is because it's basically 72 degrees all year round. It does not fluctuate. What people need to know, the phenomenon, because I grew up in the San Fernando Valley with no fucking air conditioning and the kind of heat that we're experiencing out here today.
Yes.
When it is, typically, when it is 111 degrees in Reseda in the San Fernando Valley, it is 77 degrees 8 miles away as the crow flies toward the beach.
Right.
Just to get on the other side of that canyon, and it drops 35 degrees. It's kind of nuts, but that's why people want to live by the beach. But every once in a while, probably 4 days out of the year, the San Fernando, San Gabriel, whatever, San Antonio, whatever the wind is.
The Santa Ana? The Santana winds?
All the Santana winds, the black magic winds start blowing.
Right.
And it gets hot. And here's the thing that I find interesting about our society. When it's 72 degrees at night, no problemo. When it's 82 degrees at night, nature starts going nuts. Ants everywhere, see cockroaches out running in the middle of the street, snakes. It's just a 10-degree difference is enough to like push nature out into the street and make it kind of go batty, which is strange because
rattlesnakes are going to Malibu.
It's not that much, but it was hot and the Santa Anas were blowing, and I went out about 7:30, 8 o'clock for a night walk, which is just up through the hills a little bit and then down onto PCH and right down the sidewalk that runs along PCH. And I had my very rare both earbuds in. Normally I go with one earbud, keeps one ear open for whatever's going on around me, and then one earbud on a podcast or what have you. Both earbuds are in because the traffic's a little loud on PCH, and I, for the first time ever, am trying to watch something on my phone. Am I racist? They give me the link. I know I'm going on an hour-long walk. It's not Star Wars. I don't need it in a home theater, and I just want to get the content. So I put both the earbuds in, and I'm holding my phone at night in front of me, right? Like dashboard height on a car, right. And I'm literally just walking down this empty sidewalk. Now, I'm not looking over my shoulder or anything because it's Malibu. It's a great neighborhood. There's not much in the way of gangbangers there, and there's nobody else walking nobody walks their dog down PCH at 8:10 at night. It just doesn't happen. So I'm walking down the sidewalk, holding the phone in front of my face and staring at it, because also I walk this all the time, and it's just endless 5-foot wide sidewalk, just goes all the way down to the pier. So there's nobody in front of me, no homeless guy, no nothing. I just hold the phone. I'm just walking, and I hear a rattle.
You heard it even with two earbuds in?
I heard it with 2 earbuds in. I hear the rattle, and I just stop, and I look down, and there's a fucking rattlesnake right in the middle of the sidewalk, which the rattlesnakes are kind of up in the hills and up on the trails and that kind of stuff, but they're rarely in the middle of the sidewalk. But this sidewalk has a 3-foot-high block retaining wall, and it's retaining a dirt hill. And this thing came down the hill probably and fell onto the sidewalk. Now, the rattlesnake's got nowhere to go because this retaining wall that's 3 foot high runs for the next mile. And then the other side is PCH. So it can either go out on PCH and get run over, or it can just go along the sidewalk, but it can't go back up into the hills. It can't escape back into nature, is what I'm saying. So now I almost step on it. Then I stop. Then I get a little flustered, but not maintain my composure. Then I took a video of it that I guess we could put up on our website. Now, by then, it had sort of retreated to the edge of the sidewalk where the retaining wall was. So it was not in the middle of the sidewalk anymore when I encountered it. I took a 20-second film of it just so people would believe me. Then I had to think, and you guys tell me what you would do in this particular case. And that vid we'll just put it up on the website. I don't know if Dawson's seen it or DFG's
I did see it. I turned it up really loud. I wanted to hear the rattle.
It rattled. The thing about it is it rattled as I was going to step on it. It rattled.
Right.
Once it retreated and I retreated, it stopped rattling.
Now, DFG in that position would have been dead.
Oh, yeah.
He would not hear the rattle.
When they rattle, they're saying, "Stay away from me. Get out of my face, bro."
That's right. That's what the rattle does. But the DFG wouldn't have heard the rattle because of the deafness. Oh, my God. You wouldn't even be here today.
Hell yeah, that's the flu.
So I heard the rattle. Thankfully, I'm able-bodied. I was touched by God. And I was able to get back from it. And then it kind of retreated. And then I filmed it. Here's the dilemma. I'm a guy who doesn't really... Part of the problem with me and fishing is I feel bad pulling a fish out of the water when it's flailing and stuff, and then the guy's hitting it with the baseball bat, the Dorado with the baseball bat, like in Mexico and stuff. Yeah. I feel bad for the fish. I eat fish. I just feel weird. I feel bad.
You hit it in the back of the head with the butt of the knife.
I had a guy hit it with a baseball bat in Mexico. But the point is this. I don't want to kill the rattlesnake, but the rattlesnake has nowhere to go but the sidewalk. He cannot go back into the hills. And he's not going to go out into the street, although he could, but he's going to get run over for certain. And somebody else may be walking down this sidewalk in the next 20 minutes, and they may get hit by a rattlesnake. So I don't know what to do. So I called 911.
Okay.
Which I never do, but on rarest occasion I go, well, I think the fire department should know there's a rattlesnake in the middle of the sidewalk. And by the way, the fire department is 200 yards away on the same side of the street on the corner. So I call.
Seems reasonable.
Get the thing, get the dispatch, tell them it's engine company 70. Which I knew because I went over there and had dinner with those guys once and took some pictures and stuff, and they gave me T-shirts and it says Engine 70 on it.
Did you have chili?
Oh, no, we brought them dinner.
Okay.
That's what happened. Okay. Otherwise, we would have been all foosball and chili the whole night. So I got dispatched to those guys, and I basically said, look, it's on the same side of the street as you are, and it's about 200 yards down toward the pier, and you will find a rattlesnake if you just start going down that sidewalk. And then I just went on with my walk because, I don't know, I just didn't feel like standing there waiting for the firemen to show up. So I walked, and then I walked down about another mile, and then as I was coming back, I saw the fire truck, parked there and whatever. And I assume they hit it with the flathead shovel, but I don't know. It seems to me that rattlesnakes don't really want to bite you, though, because if they wanted to, that one should have bit me because I wasn't looking where I was going at all and almost stepped on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. DFG, any run-ins with nature?
They are more freaked out of you than you are freaked out of them.
Yeah, no, everyone says that all the time. They do. They go, the bear was scared and thought, yeah, I know, but I'm still missing my hip. You know what I mean? The shark thought you were seal. He didn't want to. Yeah, I know. I still have 286 staples in my abdomen from the shark being mistaken. I get it. They're scared or they're mistaken. It doesn't stop them from kicking the shit out of you with their teeth and their claws and their fangs, though. But in this case, good. All right. Here's a weird piece of info that hit me within like a 14-hour period. There's a guy on the East Coast, friend of mine, writer, and probably like any writer, runs in pretty progressive circles. Mm-hmm. And I'll just put this out there. I'll file it under this. Most of the time, and I think it's my low. I don't really have low self-esteem. I just have no self-esteem, which is not really low self-esteem. It's like I don't exist. Like I ran into George Clooney at Kimmel's party. And he's like, "Hey, Adam, how's it going?" And he's like, hug it out, whatever. And my first impulse, like, "Why do you know who I am? You shouldn't know who I am." I'm always surprised. I don't know why you shouldn't know who I am, but I'm surprised. This one, I get a note from my friend in New York, and he goes, "I was at a cocktail party, and I ran into E. Jean Carroll."
Is that the lady that sued Trump?
Yeah, for rape.
Okay.
In a Saks Fifth Avenue dressing room in 1979.
Right.
Sure, it all happened.
It all happened.
And then I go, yeah? And he's like, she's a big fan. Huh. I'm like, what? I would never guess that she would have any idea who I was.
Maybe she was 50 listening to Loveline. Getting those burning questions answered.
And then I get on a group text this morning from a bunch of dudes where it turns out Doug Emhoff, Kamala's husband, big fan. Big Loveline, K-Rock, Man Show or whatever, just big fan. I'm like, that is so... First, they came within 15 hours of each other. B, I probably don't share the same politics as the two.
Maybe.
But I still thought it was so random and so weird. And also, again, I sit home and watch TV. I see E. Jean Carroll take the stand, or I see Doug Emhoff, up on the stage at the DNC, and I go, there's 0% chance either one of those people have any idea who I am. And if they did, they would hate me.
Yeah.
But turns out, not so much. So look, maybe there's some common ground. We can meet in the middle somewhere. DFG?
Well, Donald Trump said that E. Jean Carroll was not his type.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why he didn't have his way with her in that dressing room.
Yeah.
I don't know what the truth is, and maybe no one will ever know.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm no forensic rape scientist, but when I'm looking at rape allegations in a dressing room, I got to know I got one question: door or curtain?
That's a big one.
Because some have doors, many have curtains. Back in the day, I feel like there was more curtains than doors. Doors are newer. I think back in the day, we had a little decorum, which isn't doorcorum. We only needed a curtain to separate you. Curtain, I'm going, a little dubious. Little dubious with the curtain on the rape charge. But door, now we're getting in the realm of possibilities. And then
it would have to have the walls that go all the way to the floor as well, not just a door.
Can't be stalling.
Can't be stall.
You need, you need the the door that goes to the floor, and then we can talk about barrel bolt versus deadbolt, and I will shape my opinions on that.
If you were making an adult video for this, for example, you would have the woman's hand grabbing the curtain.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And you'd be using the mirror, too.
Yeah, a close-up shot of that hand grabbing that curtain or
tight
the
shot.
beads.
Insert. Hand grabs curtain, clinches curtain.
Oh, yeah.
Back to the wide. Yeah, no, you're right. Back to the two, then in for the single hog shot. All right.
So she's a fan of yours.
I got range. Is all I'm saying. All right, we like to do a little something around here called Statutory Rape Rock, and we talk about all those songs. Usually Burton Cummings and guys from the '60s. Young Girl, Get Out of My Mind, and the more egregious, that girl is a woman now. Like, she's found out what it's all about. Like, it's just really, there were plenty of songs from the 60s, really from, what's his name, Benny Mardones, picking.
Into the Night.
Right. So the themes were, everyone says no, but our love is strong.
Sure.
And then there's a lot of, you're a little girl. Mm-hmm. You have pigtails and you can't come around here until you become a woman.
Right, and girl, you'll be a woman soon, probably in about 20 minutes.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's crazy amount of statutory rape songs from that period. Mm-hmm. One we overlooked was one by Bobby V. You know Bobby V's hit?
Not off the top of my head. DFG?
I think he's the guy that does the college basketball. He gets very excited.
Right. No, yeah. different guy. But I get it. No, his big hit, which is a good song that you guys will all know, Take Good Care of My Baby.
Yes.
DFG? Oh, he can't hear it.
Hello?
Yeah. You call the sock hop the soft hop?
We never had a sock hop. That's like 50s stuff where you just take your shoes off and go on a dance floor. No, we had a soft hop.
What's a soft hop?
Short for sophomore.
Oh.
That was our sophomore year
in high
dance.
school.
Yeah, the soft hop.
Oh, we didn't have a. Oh, maybe we did. Maybe I labeled it lame. It never went. But can we get back to this? Let's all agree on this. A lot of dudes, real sausage fest here today. Joe and Byron and all the guys listen. Kyle, Dawson, DFG. You know how Bobby V. You know how we're softening the verbiage on everything? Like, we know we used to have illegal aliens and now we have undocumented immigrants, right? And we used to have bums and hobos and vagrants, and now we have a community of
individuals,
unhoused individuals. Right. And we have this one that Dawson's going to have to help me out, but we don't have criminals anymore. We have
judicially challenged or something like that.
No, it's
judicially involved.
Yeah. We got a fucking euphemism for every fucking shitty thing somebody did out there today, right? Not to mention all the other bullshit language, like, well, his gender assigned at birth. Like, he has a cock and balls. He didn't get a gender assigned to him at birth.
Right. God did that.
By some Republican. God did it. Like, we softened everything. Can we get back to cheating on your girlfriend and fucking around? Can we get back to calling that untrue? Because that's a much softer landing.
Oh, if you were being untrue.
I'm sorry for being untrue.
Yeah.
Now, I know you said I fucked your sister. I'm calling it untrue. I mean, not true. I mean, I did fuck your sister, but what I'm saying is let's call it untrue.
Right.
Let's stick to being untrue.
With the waitress at the Waffle House.
I was untrue to you.
Yes.
Right. It's not like I didn't bang her in the bathroom stall.
Right.
Or the dressing room. I was untrue. Untrue. Because can we get back to that? Because that lands a lot softer. It's like I was explaining. It's much easier for Nancy Pelosi to give $150,000 to undocumented migrants than it is to give it to illegal aliens. Same thing, just a better. You get more out of the deal.
All the way. I mean, we could have deadbeat dads being called untrue father figures.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So let's get back to cheating and fucking around. Let's get back to calling it untrue like Bobby V did. Yeah?
Joe? It also makes it way easier to talk her in circles. Like, yeah, it's true I was untrue to you, but it's not true that I was untrue to you with your sister.
Right.
Like now, all of a sudden, we've got her confused.
Yeah, and in my mind, I was being true.
I love this. I'm 100% in, by the way.
You are?
She looks a lot like you.
I'll take it a step further. I've always thought that the reason black athletes spoke in the third person is so they could really do this. Like Charles Barkley would say to his wife, listen, Charles Barkley's not the kind of person to be untrue. I don't think Charles Barkley would do it. And also, it's like you're talking about someone who's not in the room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you go third person and you go untrue. And now you can fuck around all you want because they really could never pin
Everybody
anything.
knows Ricky ain't untrue.
Yeah, I don't think Adam Carolla.
Ricky's never untrue.
Adam Carolla's not the kind of partner that would be untrue. And I think the allegation that Adam Carolla is untrue. True? Yeah. They'd get so mired, you just give up on they'd give up on the story. Okay. Yeah. Give me a little, Bob. Give me the last 15 or 30 seconds of that Bobby Vinton song, because he's doing a whole song about, loving his baby so much.
I wouldn't sign that sloppy seconds. It's JV.
Oh, you don't like the sloppy seconds. Yeah, you're right. All right. So anyway, Bobby V had a follow-up to this song.
Take good care of her again.
It's a horrible song, which makes me double. I don't mind a song with an insane message. I just hate a song with horrible lyrics and a horrible, weird.
Take good care of my adolescent.
This one is written by Carole King. I think this song is written by a woman. Women used to. Can I just say this? Every time I hear a woman talking, they're like, we need to stick together. We need to bond. Women should not be tearing down other women. Hey, bitches, it's over. That's all you guys do. Give up on the dream. I don't do that with white people. Give it up. You know what I mean? I don't go, Doug Emhoff, why aren't you bailing me out here? Like, I've given up. I'm on my own. Women, we tried to experiment. I know you guys think you should be taking care of each other and have each other's backs and bonding and forming. It never works. You all hate each other. It's not going to work. Martha Sharp. What other song? Did she write it with somebody? Anyway, a woman wrote this song. So here's the song.
Let's see it.
What other songs did Martha Sharp write? Did she write like she was asking for it? That's what you get for jogging in the park. Right. Like, what other songs did she?
Dressing Room Love.
Dressing Room Love by Martha Sharp. I'm not angry at Martha Sharp for the theme of the song. I'm angry at her that I had to hear this song. The song was a hit. It was on the radio, and it was a hit. And we always forget about it when we do our statutory rape rock.
And you can see, I mean, in your mind after seeing, those the Elvis biopics and the Johnny Cash biopics, you can see a crowd of 12-year-old girls singing this song very loud and just praying for the day when they can grow up and be with this 35-year-old man.
What else did she write?
Some other songs by Martha Sharp. The Special Years by Val Dunican.
Oh, about having sex with a retarded person?
That's called The First 10.
Born a Woman, which was performed by Sandy Posey. Single Girl, also by Sandy Posey.
Single Girl, Born a Woman.
Maybe Just Today, also by Bobby V. You Fool. I Want You Free, another goodbye song. These are the...
What? All right, so she had no more hits. I mean, I would know. You guys wouldn't know.
Bobby V, Come Back When You Grow Up was her biggest hit.
So this
Born a Woman and Single Girl, both by Sandy Posey, got up to 12 on the U.S. chart.
That sort of backs up my theory, which is this is such a shit song, there's no way this bitch wrote good songs. That's too bad. But Born a Woman, I'd like to hear that because it could be, potentially. I mean, Matt Walsh is coming in here. What is a woman?
What is a woman?
He did that film a year ago. I mean, maybe there's some insights. And there was a lot. You have to remember, first off, everyone thinks all this shit is new. All the stuff we're going through and the global warming and all that kind of, the ice age, whatever. It's all 50 years old. Mm-hmm. It's all 50 years. And the whole women's lib and women's empowerment thing, it was fucking big in the 70s. And, I am woman, hear me roar.
Right.
Like they were strong, big women.
She sang that like a man, too.
Anthem. Yeah. Big band.
Yeah.
Probably the wrecking crew behind her. So.
And it was women who did prohibition. They hated us being able to get a drink on.
Oh, really? I knew.
It was all women, man. The only dudes in that movement were ones that wanted to get laid.
Right. So it's just dudes trying to get their dick wet, pretending they don't like booze, because the women, I suspect the same thing happened with Occupy Wall Street. I think it's a bunch of dudes. I think whenever young women start a cause, a bunch of dudes with boners start wandering into camp going, yeah, I'm down with this too.
Yep.
They don't even know what they're talking about until they get there, right? Yeah, there's a lot of that. All right, do we have, what is it, Born a Woman? The fucking studio band is like some big bearded guy who's like usually played with Merle Haggard for like 17 years, sitting there playing the bass with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth and like a beer between his legs going, oh, fuck. I gotta fucking join in on this cat shit. Okay, I gotta fucking pay today. Like, I'll just fucking do it. No one in her band agreed with any of this shit.
No.
I thought it was a horrible song, too.
They're all trying to hide their laughter.
I would be the worst session musician ever because I would just announce every third song, this song's shit. I can't play this song. And they'd just replace me because I wasn't that good anyway. But all right, so this is another Martha Sharp song. I know everyone in their podcast is always talking about Martha Sharp, but I'm sorry, I got a different take on it than you hacks do. Not your same old stale Martha Sharp tack.
I wonder
angle.
if Carole King, because she was writing songs at a very, very, very young age.
I thought I looked up this song and saw a Carole King next to it, so maybe it's a wiki thing. I don't know. She wrote tons and tons of songs.
I wonder if she wrote any Statutory Rape Rock songs.
And is Martha Sharp still alive, or was she taken out in a domestic violence situation,
No Wikipedia page for Martha Sharp whatsoever. Even on the pages that reference her as a songwriter, no link to her.
Just proves her point. You're born a woman, you're born to be hurt, and not on Wikipedia.
There's another Martha Sharp that has a Wikipedia. It is not the songwriter.
All right. That's the beauty of the internet. Now, DFG, I know you can't hear music, but you can hear the bass, can't you, in the bass drum?
I can feel the bass.
Feel the bass. Sorry, feel the bass. So you probably have some bands you still like based on just the bass and the drum kit, right?
Like Ace of Base.
You're like, all that she wants is another baby. Is that one?
Yep, that's Ace of Base.
Mm-hmm. So you like Ace of Base because it's got the word bass in it, or you actually like them?
No, just because you are my friend. You are a bro of mine, and your name is Ace. Right. And I like them because they have bass in it. Right. But there's a boat on the lake. It's called Ace of Bass.
Oh. It's spelled the same way, right?
Yeah, it is spelled the same way.
Oh, that guy's a genius. A genius. Ace of Bass.
I love clever boat names.
Yeah, clever boat names. Right? I could hear them all day long. You're right. All right, should we we got some JV or all balls to play, DFG?
It's very funny, and obviously my questions are vetted beforehand by your staff. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. But two of my questions today are something that you already talked about. So you want to get right into it?
Yeah. What were the two I already talked about? Doug Emhoff?
Well, they were, you were sort of dancing around them. But the first one is having a sister who's a real slut. A promiscuous sister.
Promiscuous sister. Yeah, that's a tough one. That is, I don't see any upside to that. I just feel like that's JV. Maybe I'm old fashioned, Maybe I'm thinking like Bobby V.
I'm going to try to think like DFG here and say that it's going to be all balls because she maybe has a lot of loose friends.
Oh,
I could teach you a few things.
You're right. You're right. And I'm still going.
It's statutory rape rock from the other perspective.
Dawson's right, but I spit out JV, and I gotta stick with it.
What is Mike's answer?
All balls.
I would never want a lady to think I would give up on love or romance just because she has a high body count. And I don't want them to think that I am slut shaming. But it's JV. You are my sister. You're a hoe and embarrassing me, JV.
All right.
There you go.
All right.
Your thinking was correct.
Yeah. It's embarrassing.
When it's in the family, I guess that's
My sister at least had the dignity to run away, so I didn't have to deal with any of this stuff,
But you do get to meet a lot of her friends who are coming over.
Yeah, she had a friend named Mindy, but she stole my Val Surf shirt, so didn't turn out too good for the ace man. About the only thing, my prized possession.
That was all you had.
Remember when a long sleeve T-shirt was a big deal?
Sure.
I had a long sleeve T-shirt that I bought from Val Surf that was orange and it said Val Surf on it, and that was about that's about all I had.
It was 2 weeks' pay.
I didn't have a job, so I was probably 13 or 14. I had a long sleeve Val Surf T-shirt. Back when everything was a big deal. T-shirts were big deals, and now everything's just hats, T-shirts. Everything's free now. I didn't have anything else. I don't think I had a bicycle or a skateboard. I had a Val Surf T-shirt that I bought with my own money and from mowing lawns or washing cars or something. And it was probably like $9 or something, which was like 7 cars washed. And I wore it for a few weeks, and my sister had a friend named Mindy who was kind of a same ilk, kind of street kitty, you know what I mean? And then one day, my Val Surf T-shirt was gone. And it's not like the house I was living is about 625 square feet, so it's not like, well, maybe it's in the library or the atrium. It was just, there was no place to put anything in my house. If it wasn't...
If it's not there, it's gone.
It wasn't on my bed. It was gone. And I didn't have a chest of drawers or anything. I lived in the attic. And Mindy stole it. And then I accused my sister. I said, I think your friend stole my shirt. She's like, nah. But later on, turned out she did.
Found out.
Stole my T-shirt.
Did you catch her wearing it?
I don't know how I maybe... much later, like as an adult, one of those stupid laugh about it stories. Maybe that's how it came out, or whatever it was. I can't remember. Maybe she stole a couple of things from my stepmom. I can't remember, but it's just the idea of having a T-shirt stolen from me and it pretty much devastating me. Pretty much let you know where I was at that time in my life. Yeah. That was a big ticket item. I would consider a long sleeve T-shirt a durable good, and the fact that it was stolen, that was 3/4 of my net worth was now out the window with Mindy.
Wow.
Yeah.
DFG, did the Tri-Delt steal any clothing from you?
Yeah, they stole my long sleeve shirt, but it was Ron John Surf Shop.
Yep. Yeah, Ron John. Yeah, a little bit later than Val Surf. Yeah.
That was the gypsies, though, on the Houseboat and Lake Havasu.
Oh, the Havasu gypsies. Right.
They stole everything. Our watches, cell phones, money,
they got
cash, all our drugs, all our liquor.
They drugged you guys, right? The gypsies?
Yep, the gypsies.
Yeah, they roofied us.
Right.
Yep. On a houseboat.
You thought that they were from exchange students, right? From a sorority in like France or something? Romania. So you thought they were Romanian exchange students in Havasu for spring break?
Yeah, but they were not. They were gypsies. out to steal our lunch.
So you invited them onto the houseboat to party, right?
Yeah, and one of them, to rub it, I thought I was going to give them the benefit of the doubt. One of them pissed in the gas tank and ruined the houseboat.
Wow.
How did that happen?
How do you, as a woman, pee into the gas tank?
So you got a buoy?
They had the shiwi. It's like a athletic cup with a funnel.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Wow.
They left that behind. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, thanks a lot.
So
they left the shiwi.
So you guys partied with them and they roofied you.
And did you funnel with that funnel afterwards, not knowing?
Did you funnel a beer with the shiwi?
Yeah, we did. To get back at them.
Right. Yeah.
We just woke up. We were doing kegs. Yeah, it was the usual thing. And it's like all day in the sun. We were all very sunburnt. And we're pounding beer, doing kegs. And then it's like, oh, shit, man. I'm very, I'm suddenly totally shit-faced. And everyone, I look over, Moose is face down in the shag rug.
Shag rug on a houseboat.
Yeah.
Poochie's uncle is like there was like white stuff all around his mouth. I'm looking, it's like Night of the Living Dead. Everyone is PO'd. I was struggling to stay awake.
What about
I see them?
Was Mike
They
F?
were very
Was Mike
blurry.
F and Mike F and Mike P on that boat too?
Mike P was the one that they took a picture of his toothbrush up their ass.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah.
They left his camera behind, and we said, "Oh well, let's at least develop the film."
That's right. That was Mike P.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then how about was there Fugly, Moose,
Chugly.
Sorry, there was Chugly and Moose, Poochie's uncle, Mike P, and Mike F. Right?
Chugly didn't wake up for like a day and a half.
Oh, okay.
And we found out the gypsies knew how much he could drink. So they gave him 2 roofies.
So everyone got drugged by the gypsies who you thought were Romanian exchange students, right?
Yeah.
And then they
But
drugged
were
you
not. They were
guys,
dead.
steal.
We invited them on our houseboat like gentlemen. And they robbed they took everything, all our cash. They took Poochie's uncle. They took he had a he would wear a wedding ring.
But he wasn't married.
Not that he was married, but
Right.
he thought it helped him to get chicks.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, they took the ring off his fingers.
took
Fake
that
wedding
off.
ring. Wow. They took Poochie's uncle's wedding ring off.
They took Moose had an heirloom cock ring from his grandfather that was sold. They took that.
Wow. They took computers, cell phones, cash, booze,
Pagers.
drugs,
Pagers.
pagers. Right. They took everything.
They took, I don't want to like promote drugs, but we did have them, and they took them all.
Oh, okay. So it's all gone. Wow.
Wound's still fresh,
Yeah,
I think. It still hurts.
They never were brought to justice, were they?
No, they were back. They were in their own country, but they were very. What was the most disturbing thing about them was the toothbrush photo.
Yeah.
They didn't have to do that.
No, they didn't need to do that with Mike P. And then speaking of Mike P, they didn't need to pee in the gas tank either and disable your boat.
We didn't get the deposit back for the houseboat. And we were put on a permanent do not rent houseboat 2 list.
Oh, man. So Havasu, you're fucking landlocked over there in Havasu.
Yeah, we had to go to South Padre after that.
Oh, man. It reminds me of, I don't know, have you ever saw, there was a Man Show bit called Boys Gone Wild? Mm-hmm. That we filmed Boys Gone Wild at Havasu, which just is reminding me of all this. This is, Boys Gone Wild was my idea, which was one of the commercials in the Woman Show episode where we had all females in the audience and did an entire episode where me and Jimmy were. We didn't cross dress.
No, but you cross performed.
We cross performed. If we can find the woman show, man show episode, and we can find that Boys Gone Wild commercial.
I recall you doing it extremely well as well, which, goes to say that both of you know how to read women and perform as them.
We can find the monologue from that show too and play a minute of it. It did crack me up. But when we find the commercial, that I remember having that idea. It was during the time when all the Girls Gone Wild commercials would pop up, and I thought, oh, this would be funny. But of course, the Man Show audience hated it because it was dudes. But we did film that at Havasu. And I don't know if it was a year DFG was there with his boys or not.
It had been a great trip up to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could imagine, especially getting banned and not getting your deposit back and whatnot. Well, we'll take a second to find that. But why don't we do our next JV or All Balls?
Okay, this is a little bit of what you were talking about before. And the one is early onset puberty.
They say that's hitting everyone now. It's all the weird hormones and plastics and everything. Yeah, I just saw an article yesterday that basically said used to be, kick in for women and guys too, like 15, 16. Now for women, it's kicking in at like 12, 11 and 12 now because of all the weird, think about GMOs and all the shit that's in all the processed everything and all just the plastic and everything, and it's just fucking everything up. It's guys' sperm count, testosterone is going down.
Right.
Women are hitting puberty earlier. We're starting to mess with things.
If you take that into consideration that it's affecting testosterone in men, it doesn't really stand to reason that it would or maybe it does lower the age for women. I thought it would possibly delay it as well. That's an interesting.
Everything is going cattywampus. So
early onset puberty,
and maybe
there was a.
Yeah,
I saw this. I saw this little like Cub Scout, troop, whatever, walk down. One of the kids, they're like 8 years old. One of the kids looked like John Rahm.
Wait, who's John Rahm?
He's a golfer from Spain. He sounds like Henry Kissinger, bro.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I don't know all the golfers.
And then you got, and then you see these girls who are in, third grade. They look like Stormy Daniels.
That I know. All right. We got that episode. I don't know where Joe is. Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, let's play a couple of just of the beginning, I guess, just so we can remember the woman's episode. But that's the Havasu.
Stay tuned for a very special episode of The Man Show.
I've always dreamt of doing a show with my best friend Jimmy.
Eat a pint of Haagen-Dazs, then complain about weight loss. It's the Woman Show.
Spend this paycheck on a dress, blame it on the PMS.
I think we got Peaches and Herb to sing this.
It's a place where
That's Doug DeLuca.
Vegetarians are wearing leather.
Vegetarians wearing leather.
Buy more shoes that you don't need. Clock is ticking, time to breathe.
Clock is ticking, time to breathe.
I forgot we had a
The
theme.
Woman Show, Adam Carolla and Jimmy Kimmel.
Forgot about the Kenny G sax too.
Thank you. Hello, talented women whose figures I'd kill for. Hello, alcoholic for whom I pray every night. How are you?
That's the Fox.
Okay.
That top is so cute on you, Jimmy.
Thank you. I like the vertical stripes because they're slimming.
Jimmy, you are not fat. You are so not fat. Is he so not fat? You're so not fat.
It's like you watched The View for a month and did a dissertation on it.
Thank
You really have to master the
ladies,
art.
Can we chat for a minute?
You have to master
Today
the
we
art
wanna
of not
talk
saying
about
anything
that.
for long periods of time. You talk, but you can't say anything.
They know it all. They're experts in every field. Politics, the stock market, cars.
I also
they
parted
know
my hair to the
everything
side.
about cars. They know all the little parts. Big whoop.
Hey guys, newsflash. Maybe you haven't heard about it with all that hair in your ears, but there's something new. It's called a mechanic. Use it.
Yeah.
And what about money?
All right. We
men
got it.
have to control.
I forgot we had a whole new theme.
Did you really get Peaches and Herb to sing that? Because
No,
it sounds
but
they are definitely professional. If you told me they had hits in the 70s, I would believe you.
We would do, we'd go, we're going to do the woman show. And then we'd go, oh, we need a new theme. And then we'd write the song and go find the players and record the whole thing. And we didn't fuck around. I think people were always like, oh, chugging beer and titties and stuff. No, we were real detailed about stuff. When I shot the Benny Hill bit where I was Benny Hill, we went and got the lens that he shot. We didn't put a film effect on it. We shot it through the camera that Benny Hill would shoot with the lens that Benny Hill shot. So it looked exactly like Benny Hill. Didn't screw around. DFG, you guys used to probably watch the Man Show back in the frat house, right?
Hell yeah, we loved it. It was a great show, and we love to see the Fox.
Oh, the Fox. Yeah.
He could pound. I think he had the Guinness Book of World Record for fastest pint chug.
Well, he could chug a beer standing on his head. Think about that. Think about chugging a beer standing on your head.
Right.
That's tough. And he could do it. Oh, and Boys Gone Wild, that's interesting. It's from a different show. Because I do remember being booed by the audience. And I remember going, well, yeah, now I'm thinking about why would chicks boo? But it was dudes. Oh,
different season, too. First
Different
one
season.
was season 1. Boys Gone Wild, season 2.
Season 2. All right. We'll watch it. That's at Havasu.
This tape is not suitable for younger viewers. Adults only. Girls, you asked for it and you got it. The all-new Boys Gone Wild 2. This video is jam-packed with explosive new footage of the hottest guys from across the nation. Ladies, these aren't paid actors. They're actual boys next door on spring break, uncensored and out of control. Order now, and you'll receive the all-new Candid Nut Shots free. Men caught off guard and caught on tape. Fat men, young men, rich men, fat men. Ladies, you'll think you died and went to scrotum heaven. You'd have to be nuts not to order this. That's Boys Gone Wild 2 for $19.95. And if you order right now, Candid Nut Shots free. Order now and see what happens when boys go wild.
Now,
This tape is not suitable for younger viewers. Adults only.
Did you just film this stuff randomly at Havasu and take your pick of things? Or are those writers on the Man Show doing the candid nut shots and the BAs? Because it seems to me like you could just get some cameras out there and film that and put that together.
The guy jumped off the big rock cliff. That was just a drunk dude going nude, making his 30-foot drop off the rocks. Some of the guys were just dudes hanging around, drinking.
Was there anything in there that was cooked?
Couple of them were some of the writers from the Man Show when we needed some of the more experiment. There were guys that were a little more experimental than others. Others were a little more buttoned down, But the guys that wanted to have fun, yeah, we caught them on tape. But it was probably about 75 to 80% dudes at Havasu who were drunk, and we just pulled the Man Show camera out. All right.
That's a great way to film. It's a great way to work.
I think what we should do is take a quick break.
We do have to figure out if early onset puberty.
Yeah, I say, listen, I have a daughter, so I'm going to go JV.
Okay.
I don't like it.
My original, I was going to say JV because, youth is precious. Children need to be children for as long as they possibly can. So I'd say it's JV, but I'm going to switch it and go all balls.
All right, going for the tie.
It's JV for girls, all balls for boys.
Oh, all right. So you're right.
An 8-year-old boy can walk in, come out of the liquor store with a case of beer over his shoulder.
Right, you're right. That's right.
An 8-year-old kid.
It's a double standard. All right, DFG, hold on. We got to take a quick break. We're going to come back and do some news right after this.
Oh, yeah.
Simply Safe. Well, I've used it. I've trusted it. I've recommended it for years. They've been with us since the beginning, or pretty darn close to the beginning. And I've partnered with Simply Safe to offer my listeners peace of mind and 50% off. Just visit simplysafe.com/Adam. We all use it here. We've always used it here. Dawson used it way back in his old apartment. Then he moved into a house and he took the system with him because it's not hardwired. With exclusive 24/7 LiveGuard protection, Simply Safe agents can act within 5 seconds of receiving your alarm and can even see and speak to intruders inside of your home. Install and activate in less than an hour. It's Simply Safe. 2 eyes. Simply Safe. Right, Dawson?
Get 50% off a new Simply Safe monitoring system, plus free indoor security camera with Fast Protect monitoring. Just visit simplysafe.com/Adam to claim this discount. That's simplysafe.com/Adam. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Morgan & Morgan. Life can be crazy sometimes, and one person's negligence can result in another's settlement. That's right. So if you've ever been injured, check out Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Over 100 offices nationwide and more than 1,000 lawyers. More than $20 billion recovered for 500,000 plus clients. So that's big. Morgan & Morgan has a proven track record of fighting to get you the full and fair compensation. Going on the road and doing stand-up every weekend, well, that can be hard. But submitting an injury claim with Morgan & Morgan, that's easy. So if you got a situation, you need to talk to a pro. You talk to Morgan & Morgan, right, Dawson?
If you're ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/Adam or dial #law, #529 from your cell phone. That's forthepeople.com/Adam or #law, #529 from your cell. This is a paid advertisement. Celebrating 15 years of podcasting, here's a memorable moment from the Adam Carolla Show's Ace Awards archives.
Can we do a little JV or all balls?
Can I clear the air first? People, it had been a long time. People going, what is up with you with the ACS? Why you haven't been on the show? Are you on probation? I want to clear something up. Dude, between you and me, straight on. Known you for a long time.
Yeah.
I did not tag Lynette.
Oh.
I didn't do it that I remember.
Well, you do black out when you drink.
Did I? Not to I wouldn't do that to you.
Right, but not,
people think that's why I haven't been on this show. I want to tell them, not true to my knowledge.
Now, for some new memorable moments, let's get back to the Adam Carolla Show.
To his knowledge. All right, Matt Walsh is going to be here in a couple of few DFGs over there. But first, we have news with Dawson.
DFG, steroids in Hollywood. JV or all balls?
All balls. You have to look your best.
Well, there's a big controversy surrounding Hugh Jackman right now. Hugh Jackman, 55, has repeatedly denied using any chemical or hormone enhancements to create the gleaming, sharp cuts in his abdomen and the veins rippling around his muscled arms as Wolverine. Apparently, there's a shot in the movie at the end of the movie, and people are saying there's no way that a 55-year-old dude could possibly look this good without steroids.
Well, he's so vascular. I think that's kind of the part. You see the big vein. I never get the veins and the non-veins. We all have the same veins.
Sure.
Right? But
the
then how
rocks are
come
like 8 times the size.
Every third dude has a huge has that vein in his shoulder.
Yeah.
That some dudes have and some dudes don't. Like, why is that at the surface for you? I have that vein too. You can't see it. It's there somewhere. Why do you get the shoulder vein? You see the calf vein guy? Every once in a while, there's that guy. There's big.
Some dudes have the vein to nowhere.
Yeah.
It's like an inch of vein.
Yeah.
And it goes nowhere.
Some guys got that big one run down the top of their hog. Where's that vein? I didn't get any veins.
Not vascular.
Not at all. Sometimes when they're going to draw blood, the chick just looks at me and goes, I don't know. Should I just ram it in your eye? Where are we
If I
starting?
see a dude with a big vein in his meat, it kills the whole scene for me.
Oh, really? You don't like the big vein on the hog, huh?
No, because I like to pretend I'm the dude.
Oh, you like to pretend like you would be Ron
So
Jeremy.
you can't look down. There's no vein on you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How many? I always wanted to figure that out. Who watches porn and sort of fantasizes that that's them versus watching porn? I just watch.
Too complicated to me.
Insert yourself in there.
I'm not here to act.
And then, so what happens if you really go deep? Like, let's just say, DFG, you're watching some porn, and you had a couple of beers. Maybe it's a little bit late at night, and you really went deep into the character to the point where you're like, that is my hog, and this is what's going on. And then all of a sudden, unbeknownst to you in the porn, the jealous husband comes back into the house and like shoots the guy. And you feel it in your own rib cage. You know what I mean? There's a danger to this dive. You go too deep.
It's a slippery slope.
That's why virtual reality porno is. They could be like we are flying too close to the sun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I get it. Yeah.
Well, people are saying that Wolverine is a superhero, needs to look like one. But Jackman, and I'll point out, the dude's name is Jackman. Give the guy a break. He's going to get ripped. But in 2000, when he debuted as Wolverine in X-Men, he was dramatically less ripped. Doctors are saying it's pretty much impossible to get that ripped without doing steroids. Now, steroids, they're legal. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not a sporting event.
Well, listen, I used to say to Dr. Drew all the time when they'd go, steroids are dangerous. It's like, well, you got a 72-year-old guy who looks like he's 41. How dangerous is that? He's not all bent up and rolled over and holding his side. He's like 70-year-old guy, jacked. And you go, well, he's on steroids. Like, okay, but is it dangerous to be able to bench 350 pounds at age 68?
It's tough to tell how ripped he is in a suit.
He looks ripped in this suit.
He does look ripped in the suit.
I should get one of those suits. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Did somebody actually put together an A and a B of Hugh Jackman with his shirt off and then one with his shirt on? Is an A and a B? Somebody did that.
Somebody did that. They got the
I
years
feel
on
like
there, yeah.
I should hire that person because I feel like that happens to me all day long where I go, hey, show me an A and a B of Jackman so we see how vain he is. And then there's one with him with a long sleeve sweater on.
His hair's a little more Wolverine-y in the new pic, too. Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
But here's DFG, I got something. The thing that really bugged me about this article is the internet is calling it the natty or not thing. DFG, what do you think of when you think of natty?
Natty Ice.
Natty Ice beer.
Yeah. I go natty light.
Ice light.
Yeah. What do they think natty is?
Natty is just being natural and not doing...
Oh, do we have to like
testosterone?
When did we shorten every word? Like that guy's a simp.
Right.
The cuck.
What does that mean?
I don't. There's too many short. Everything's too short.
You know what word is not used enough? Sycophant.
Sycophant or sycophant?
Sycophant. I mispronounce elephant as well.
Okay.
But
all
sycophant. And there's no sicko.
Yeah.
There should be something like that. But I don't know what a simp is. What's a simp?
A sympathizer? I hear simp
is like
I hear
a little
cock.
It's like a puss.
Okay.
Yeah, puss. It's a simp.
Somebody who's overly sympathetic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you're kind of
I don't like all the shortening of everything. But I don't even like froyo. Say it all. Frozen yogurt. We got time.
Yeah. We're not really saving that much time.
No.
And Frank Grillo, by the way, Frank Grillo said he did do steroids for some of his roles. for boss level. Even Alan Richson from the Nick Santora written Reacher. Reacher has said he did steroids or testosterone.
I don't think there's anything wrong with getting on a round of steroids if you're going to work out real hard for 3 months. Anyway, who cares? Let them do what they want.
Exactly.
Let me ask you this. Well, I've got a hypothetical for you, DFG. Are you listening? Can you hear it? You can hear me, right? Okay. Hugh Jackman's been married to the same woman for like 31 years, who, by the way, is not in the kind of shape he's in. We can find out Hugh's wife and if he broke up with her very recently. I think that was it. But I mean, they were together for like 30 years. And she was built like a middle-aged woman. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Do you want your partner getting completely ripped? I mean, obviously, in the bedroom, when they take the fucking robe off, you're looking at an Adonis, right?
Right, but before he leaves the house, she's trying to ugly him up a little bit.
You still got your gunt going, though. You know, I mean, you're just a 47-year-old woman who has a couple of extra pounds on her. Like, do you like the idea that your partner looks like an Adonis, or do you don't like the fact that there's way too big a chasm now? Like, people are like, what the hell's he doing with her? Right? Look at her. Look at it. You know, God forbid you both go to the beach and get down in your swimsuits. There's going to be a little space between you. And also, you've ruined the next 3 months because, we're looking at a picture of a woman who's
she's barrel-chested,
a little rotund. I mean, a little heavy set next to a guy whose physique looks like, Mr. America. So I don't know that she likes that. And then also, she looks like she likes to eat a little bit. You know what I mean?
She gets the pasta.
And so you go out to dinner, and it's like, we're going to Outback. And we're getting the blooming thing. And he's like, I'm eating a hard-boiled egg and staying home. Like, there is no... When you're a hard diet person, you know going to brunch and having a few cocktails. There's none of that. It's he sits home and eats raw eggs. All right.
And she answered the phone. She's probably like, hello? And then she like hands him the phone. She's like, here's for you, grape nuts. Because when you're on tea, I guess it shrinks your nuts.
I got it. On testosterone. So they got divorced like a year ago or something, but they were together for like 30-something years. And he's always in phenomenal shape, doing everything, and she's kind of hanging home, packing on a couple pounds. Is that a thing? Is that a problem? Is
that's
that an
her
issue?
Prerogative.
Yeah. It was balanced out by him loving musicals.
Right.
So people are like,
singing the music, man.
Well, maybe he's gay, so it's fine. Let him hang out.
I did say you touched on this earlier, but I've always thought that his name is a made-up name.
Hugh Jackman,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It seems fake.
Right. Yeah, I agree. All right, let's do another story.
All right, things that were once normal are no longer. Parental stress. Raising children, it's now a public health issue.
Says who?
Says the U.S. Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy. He released an advisory on August 28th declaring parental mental health an urgent.
So this guy,
public health issue.
I think this guy's a Biden appointee, probably DEI, and certainly a puss. Everyone he appoints is a fucking pussy. And so now we have a Surgeon General who's a pussy. And he's just doing what pussies do, which is feed dumb chicks into thinking everything's hard.
According to 2023 data, 33% of parents reported high levels of stress in the past month.
Can I say this? We can no longer talk to human beings and do surveys where we ask if they're stressed out or if they're in fear or if they have anxiety. Every single human being claims to have anxiety now. They don't, but they say they do. And they've all felt threatened, and they all have stress. It's all out the window. fuck you, raise your kids, do your stupid job, act like a goddamn adult for a change, and just get to work. Would you please? And stop talking to Vivek about you being stressed out because you have to give a kid applesauce.
Well, this ends where it always ends. The government needs to do something.
Oh, no. Who is this guy? This guy's such
he is
a
the U.S. Surgeon General. We need more community and government support.
Oh, God.
Policies that would invest in the health, education, and safety of children are crucial to improving parental mental health.
Okay, can I just float this? Find out where this guy came from, Joe, this Vivek. All I hear is government investment on the future of the kids, the future, the whatever. That's all Kamala Harris talks about. So we need investment. We need invest the future. Our kids, stop me if I'm wrong. Back in the 50s, when the government did zero investing in kids, they all had higher test score averages and weren't morbidly obese or depressed.
Right.
Okay. Now the government gets involved. They're all fat. They're all depressed. And none of them can do math at grade level. Would we need more government investment? Because as far as I can tell right now, the only reason we need government investment for is to undo the government investment from 10 years ago. Because when there was zero government investment, kids were thin and smart and not depressed.
That's a good point.
Thank you. Powerful.
I just want to say something about anxiety to the government. If you want to know what anxiety is, it is when you are with 6 of your bros, you're in a sauna with 6 cases of beer, and they are drilling the door shut, and you are not coming out until those beers are all done.
Ooh.
Oh, man.
Add to
That
the
is
anxiety.
anxiety.
If there's no cooler and the
But then
beer,
you
have
get
to drink it
wasted,
fast.
and so you are not anxiety anymore.
Right.
That's true.
Drinking natty ice in there with your bros.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's anxiety. All right. Well, our guests are here. Matt Walsh is here.
Let's get Matt Walsh in here.
I think what we should do is take a break. I'll bid Dawson and DFG adieu, and we'll bring in Justin Folk and Matt. Justin, I've worked in the past, and Matt Walsh and DFG. What can I throw out a website or something for you?
I'm going to have a very exciting link that will be there for the viewers upon when they are able to watch the show.
Okay, so we can look for that off the show.
Oh, yeah, and of course there's this one. Hell yeah, Delta Foo.
Yeah, Dawson, you got a date, a plug, a show?
I'm going to be in Santa Barbara on September 27th, and I just see you're in Vegas on October 17th. Can I come out with you for that one?
Yeah, I think so. I got to check
again.
the whoever's going and what the deal is. But
right.
yeah, that'll be September 19th. All right, quick break. Back with Justin and Matt right after this. O'Reilly Auto Parts. They're in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly offers friendly, helpful service and the parts and knowledge you'll need for all your maintenance and repairs. That's right. It's not just about maintenance. You got to repair it every once in a while yourself. I've been going to O'Reilly since, knee-high to a boll weevil? I don't know what they say. Grasshopper? I've always gone to O'Reilly. I used to live up in the hills in La Crescenta. I'd go the one up on Foothill. Still there. Passed it the other day. They've got thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in store or online, so you'll never have to worry if you're in a jam. The team at O'Reilly Auto Parts can test your battery for free in or out of your car, which is nice. You don't have to pull it. If it needs to be replaced, they'll help you find the right battery for your vehicle. Need your windshield wipers replaced, brake light fixed, quick service. They'll help you find the right part or point you to the nearest local repair shop for help as well. Whether you're a car aficionado or an auto novice, you'll find the team at O'Reilly knowledgeable, helpful, and best of all, friendly. So the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts are your one-stop shop for all things auto, do-it-yourself, and you can find what you need in the store or online. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Adam, dude, I just went through a freaking intersection by my house in Rancho Cucamonga, and there is no more red turn arrow. It's a yield. They changed it. Nice work, bud. Appreciate it. Get it on.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Matt Walsh in studio, Justin Folk in studio. One's a producer, one's, well, they're probably both producers, but one's on camera and one's behind the scenes. Justin, I work with Dennis Prager. No Safe Space. It's good to see you guys, and congratulations on another triumph.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so do you feel like we just need to sort of claw this stuff back? We just sort of let it all go in the last decade, and they got their hands on everything and just everything. It's a Black Lives Matter. It's all the trans stuff, and it's just every subject. They just took it, and now we got to go. All right, we got to start sort of clawing sanity back. Yeah. That's what it kind of feels like to me.
Yeah, I think you have to let sane, normal people still exist in the world, in this country. I think most people are normal, especially in the film Am I Racist? On the subject of race, most normal people aren't walking around every day obsessed with race and tormenting themselves over the question of whether or not they're racist. The default position, I think, of most people is that you don't think that much about it. I mean, you notice if somebody's a different race, but it's not. You're not obsessively focused on it. So then you have these DEI grifter types who come in, and they don't. That's the problem they're trying to fix. The problem is that people are normal and not worried about it, and so they have to tell you no, you need to be obsessively focused on this. You are racist, and if you think that you aren't racist, that's all the more evidence that in fact you are racist, and they get you going in this spiral of confusion, and they want to keep you there.
Yeah, I don't think Black Lives Matter and all the race hustlers are anything different than COVID. People have a fear of being singled out and sort of shunned and humiliated, and then there's a sort of more pragmatic one of being relieved of their job and stuff like that. And they put a couple of heads on pikes early. You know what I mean? Did you hear about the guy from CrossFit and made an Obama joke, and now he's out? Yeah. And it's he's out. He started the company. It's yeah, I know, but they got rid of him. And and then the message spreads through the villagers pretty damn fast. Yeah. Shut up, and put that black box up on Twitter for Black Lives Matter on Tuesday. Otherwise, there could be trouble. And it works. It's it's a grift. It's a sort of social extortion, but it's super effective. You get everyone who's an expert and knows that ivermectin is bad in 10 minutes. And it works. It's powerful, and it works fast, and it gets everybody. BLM and COVID were exactly the same thing. Nobody knew what was going on. Nobody particularly has experience with it, but they got everyone to think one way in 2 days because they were scared.
Yeah, they're definitely taking advantage of the fact that most people want to be seen as nice people.
Right.
And there's this sort of tyranny of niceness that we have in our country where people would rather be, nice and not be called a bigot than to stand for something, that they know is true. They'd rather just kind of look the other way. They've taken advantage of that.
Yeah, but how about, huge entities like the NFL saying end racism in the end zone of their football games? And I've been shouting about this for a long time. Yeah. That's why everyone hates me. But my thing is that someone goes, so what's wrong with that? I said, well, if I was watching a soccer match in Brazil and it said end malaria, I think they had a pretty big problem with malaria in that country. I think it makes people think there's a big problem, and there isn't a big problem. And then everyone's answer is always, so there's no racism? I'm okay, retard. Yeah. Nobody ever says that. They just say it's not a problem. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, it's not a systemic problem is the main point in America. So are individual people, of course there's individual racists in the world. There's always going to be individual racists. But the question is whether or not, really the main question when it comes to this anyway, with DEI and the premise of DEI is that there is a systemic problem of anti-black racism in America. And that is just false. There isn't. Because in order for there to be systemic racism, you have to be able to look at certain policies, laws, regulations that specifically and deliberately disadvantage black people because of the color of their skin. And that doesn't exist. You cannot find anything like that in America. I mean, you can find it in the reverse, of course, that's what affirmative action is, but you can't find it going that way, which is why I think a lot of this, it's like things were getting better racially in America for a long time. And then you get to Obama gets elected, and then things start backsliding pretty severely. And I think it's because once a black guy's elected, that's proof. That's all the evidence you could possibly need that there's no systemic racism in America.
That's exactly right.
Because a black guy, there's no way that a black guy could lead the whole system if it's stacked against him to that degree. But the left, they can't lose systemic racism as a concept because it's such a potent tool. And so then once Obama was elected, ironically, they had to redouble their efforts to convince everyone that actually America's racist.
You're a genius, Matt, because you're saying exactly what I've been saying for a long time, which is, and it's an interesting phenomenon. So even beyond that, before Obama, comedians, and comedians have to be accurate in a weird way, not statistically, but they can't be confusing. They have to sort of speak in metaphors and similes and stuff. And a comedian in the 80s would go like, oh man, if there was a black comedian, like that was the end of racism. If there was a black president. If there was a black president, you can kind of go, well, what marks the end of racism? And you go, I don't know, Jim Brown playing in the NFL or something. It's like, nah, he's an athlete, whatever. But for a society, if we were looking at another society, we were just looking at some other country and they go, well, they discriminated against the Irish over there, and they went, well, they have an Irish president they just elected. You'd go, oh, okay, well, it's probably not that big a problem. So that represented the end of racism, a black president. And you're right, all the hustlers have to double down their efforts now. All the race hustlers had to go to work overtime to work even harder to find racism because racism was over because we had a two-term black president.
Yep. Yeah, I think you can kind of point to one moment in history where we started to regress, where we had made all this progress on race. We were becoming mostly post-racial as a society, but then we elect our first black president, and he gets up there, and instead of unifying this country, he gets up there and says the line, "The cops acted stupidly." And then I think from then on out, it was on. And
well, he said a few things. So Obama turned out to be a bad person and an agitator, and Biden turned out to be a bad person and an agitator as well. And the reason I say that, bad person, is because I didn't agree with Obama's policies or Biden's policies, but they agitated. They did a racial agitation. Obama said that the kid, what's his name, would look like his son. If he had a son, Trayvon would be, that's an agitation. Mm-hmm. Then he went in with the whole hands up, don't shoot stuff. You're talking about the beer summit, where the cop broke into a guy's house.
Henry Gates.
Right. But then even worse, he would go abroad and he'd go to Hiroshima, Nagasaki and apologize for the H-bomb, which they deserved wholeheartedly. Right. But either way, he'd go there as a pussy ambassador for the American, apologize. And then he'd go, we got our own problems. We got Ferguson. Ferguson is where a huge thief who strong-armed a liquor store owner went after a cop's gun and got shot. Not hands up, don't shoot. That's your story. That's a made-up story. So you're then saying we have racial problems. Ferguson was a criminal confronting a cop. It wasn't a white cop shooting a guy for the crime of being black. So he agitated, and then Biden ran on, we're steering it back toward the middle, no more agitation, and now he agitates every speech he gives.
Yeah, I think, and that was the moment with Obama where racism became, this is where you get things like microaggressions. That's where racism becomes an unfalsifiable theory. Where prior to that, it was at least falsifiable. Like as you point out, there were things that could happen. Even the people that were positioning themselves as civil rights leaders and so on, they would admit that well, this or that thing could happen in society, and that would be evidence that that racism is no longer a big problem. But now it's unfalsifiable. So no matter what happens, it can never prove that racism is no longer an issue. And they even, that applies on the individual level too. This is why you have this dumb thing on the left where they say, if you try to disprove racism claims against yourself by saying, I have black friends, that is treated as this obviously absurd statement. But in reality, it's like that actually is pretty good evidence that you're not racist if you have black friends. Why does that not prove that you're not racist? Of course, if you're racist, you probably wouldn't have black friends. But
if you were truly allergic to cats, you wouldn't own cats.
Right.
But you have 3 cats, so maybe you're not allergic to cats. Exactly. I agree. And listen, the problem is there is no certificate you can get issued to you that you're not racist. We can sit and just look, and having black friends would be part of the menu that would prove you weren't racist. Not doing anything to harm any other groups ever. Hiring people of different colors. All of that would all just fall under the heading of here's my rap sheet of why I'm not racist. But for them who wants racism and like to find it and then profits off it, then you're never going to satisfy their requirements.
Actually, the number one piece of evidence that someone isn't racist, actually, and really the only evidence that I need, is if they say they aren't, then they're the only one who can speak to what's going on in their mind and their heart.
Yeah.
And a person can lie about it, but they're the only expert, the only authority on what's happening in your mind is you. And so racism is a thing that happens in your mind. If you tell me that's not happening in your mind, then okay, well, I have to take your word on that. And I think, again, with normal people, that's all you kind of, like if someone says, I'm not racist, okay, well, then I guess you're not.
I take it even further, which is, I look at it as like, it's like they're trying to tell you you're an arsonist. And you go, I've never lit a fire in my life. And they go, I know, but you're still an arsonist. Mm-hmm. And you go, but I've never burnt anything down or done that. Start a couple of campfires. No, arsonist, and you don't even know it. And I go, well, practically, then how would that manifest itself in terms of hurting society? Like, okay, I'm an arsonist and I've never struck a match. So what? Move on. I'm a racist who's never done anything harmful to another race. So I'll use your premise. Let's just say I'm a wild racist in my head, but it's never had any application. I've never done anything. Isn't that fine? I hope everyone's a murderer and a school shooter in their head and never picks up a gun or a knife. That'd be fine with me. I hope all of Hamas are just maniacs in their head, but they would never kidnap anyone or execute them. Like, you're just doing, okay, I'll go along with you. I am racist, and I never do anything about it. So, aren't we fine then? You could be a black neighbor of mine, and I could be racist in my head, but I'd never do anything harmful to you. So then we're good. Because it's all action. I mean, every guy I know is like a rapist in his head, but he's never done anything. He's been married to the same woman for 20 years. So, what are we even talking about? Like, I need deeds, is what I'm saying. You can't just go around calling people stuff without giving examples of what the person did. And if it's just in their head, then so be it.
Yeah, that's you talk about the arsonist example. I guess they would call you an unconscious arsonist. Is what you'd be in that case.
Fine, but everyone in their home is safe with me because I've never lit a fire.
That's the kind of that's the thing. They actually the way they set it up is that you actually are not an authority on what happens in your own mind because there's unconscious bias is the way it goes, and that means that actually you have the racism in your head, but you don't have access to those thoughts yourself that are in your own brain because they're unconscious. I don't know how that works exactly. Yeah. But that's where the grifters come in because you need to. They're the ones. They're like the almost taking the role of like a psychic or a fortune teller or something, where they can read the tea leaves and tell you what's actually happening in your own mind.
That's also insane narcissism on their half.
Yeah,
their heart. It all starts with narcissism, like the idea of telling someone who they are and what they feel and what's in their head is the most narcissistic thought you could ever have.
There was this really interesting moment. We shot some interviews that actually didn't make it into the film. One in particular, there's this woman who was a DEI expert, and she had an actual scale of racism, and she could, you're there a 1 through a 5, okay? Now, the interesting thing about her scale is, number one, the worst type of racist is like the guys like you and I who say, no, I'm not racist. Actually, I've always sort of liked black people. And when I grew up, black people were kind of the coolest people in society.
Yeah, Dr. J.
And yeah, exactly. and you name Michael Jordan, MC Hammer. I mean, I had the pants. But number 2 on that scale, you progress towards anti-racism, and number 2 is the all-out Nazi, racist bigot that has the tattoos and the swastikas, because at least that person has acknowledged their racism. At least they're being honest about their racism. So here's a guy like me. I'm sitting over at number 1 because I haven't acknowledged yet. But the guy that's down in the shack, having the Klan meetings, he's at number 2. So at least he's further down the road than I am.
There's also something hugely insidious, and super destructive, which is Biden, as I always like to make fun of him, stood up in 2017 after seeing what went on in whatever the Carolinas and the good people on both sides, and he stood up and he said he's got to stop this, which is, again, narcissistic and insane. But either way, he made up a story as to why he decided to run for president, which made him look like a hero. And so now they have to find it everywhere. So now they have to send the DOJ out and explain that white supremacy is the biggest problem this country faces, and the biggest terrorist organization is white supremacy. But there's not enough white supremacy to go around. There's not enough Klan rallies. There's just not enough to supply it for them. So now it gets insidious because they have to go find it. And then they have to manufacture it, because there's way more instances of black guys just punching Asian women on the sidewalk than there are white supremacists. So now we get hoaxes, and now the government is in on the hoax. And then we have to start mussing around with crime statistics and ethnicities and stuff. And now it's insane because it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that is put on by the government of the United States, because the president lied to everyone and told everyone that white supremacy was the biggest problem this country had.
Yeah, there's the hoaxes, and then I think even worse is, because the hoax is like, we're just, obviously they're inventing something that didn't happen. I think what's even more common now is taking an incident that did happen, but filtering your perception of it through this framework of anti-racism and DEI, so that normal things that actually happen become racist, because that's the only way that you can. I mean, there was just the recent example of someone, Chick-fil-A, a black guy at Chick-fil-A. His name is Marquise, and he gives his name at the Chick-fil-A drive-thru, and the kid working the thing hears monkeys, and he writes that down on the receipt. And usually with the racist receipt is like almost always that genre of race hoax, like that's almost always a hoax. In this case, it actually happened, but it's pretty clear that the kid just legitimately misheard what the guy said, and he wrote monkeys down. It's an unfortunate mistake, but it's a mistake. Most people can see that. I say, well, like, mistakes happen. Awkward things happen like that. But when you see everything through a racial lens, there has to be a racial motivation behind everything. And this is even Michelle Obama. I mean, when she was in office, she would tell stories about. There was one in particular that she told about getting someone cutting in line.
I love that story.
Right, she was getting ice cream or something. And
she's getting ice cream, and a white woman stepped in front of her because she's invisible, even though she's 6 foot and first lady.
And she also had the one where she was asked to get something down from the higher shelf, and that was racist.
Yeah, because they assumed that she was working there.
Yeah. She's also super tall. I mean, she could reach.
But that's the thing. Like, you hear that. And you think, well, like, we've all had people cut in front of us in line. I'm asked to take things down from shelves all the time when I'm at Walmart or whatever. But I don't have the racial lens to view all this stuff. So I just see it as, well, that's just, this is what living life as a person is like. You have things like this that happen.
Well, there's a couple components there. One is, I've said this 100,000 times. Black people don't get this part. I've lived in 10 different houses out here. 7 of them, I had a horrible neighbor who just called cops sometimes, on a New Year's Eve party at 9 at night, just horrible neighbor shit. We've all had horrible neighbors. If I were black, I would assume that guy was a racist. When you're white, your white privilege is knowing there are many more assholes than there are racists. There's people that just do stupid shit, bad neighbors, whatever that is. Also, what black people never really realize, and you can see it with people, and many of us are guilty of it. Most of white America actually works harder to be nicer to black people to compensate for being thought of as possibly racist or never wanted to be mistaken for racist. Like you can do like the hobo thing. Like if I'm walking down the street and a white guy comes up to me and goes, "Hey, could I have a buck? I'm down on my luck." I go, "Yeah, okay, get away from me, drug addict. You're just going to buy more drugs." Black guy walks up, I'm more likely to give him a buck because I don't want him to think there's some tension or I want to undo the sins of the past. So
but that's racist too. I mean, because it's a reminder of those 1,000 daily cuts or whatever.
I want to play, Dawson. You got to find. And speaking of what a piece of shit Biden is, and again, I don't, I hear he's nice personally, Biden, but he's the president of the United States and he's doing his speeches in front of black graduating classes, explaining to them that there's a target on their back as they enter society. And it's super destructive. I wish he and or Obama would have just knocked it the fuck off. Just said, like, listen to me. Look, folks, work hard. Keep the family intact. Wait, don't have kids until after you get married. And believe me, it'll work out. That's who this country is. Don't worry about it. No, they can't. The airport one is the one I love. This is not that clip, but the college commencement one is pretty. The good one. Oh, is this the one where he short circuits? No, that's another DI.
No, this is the one where he just says everyone's got a target on their back.
Yeah, I do love it. I don't. I wish more Democrats were repulsed by this. Like they're all like, I always go, isn't this ugly? Isn't this disgusting? And they go like, yeah, I know, but what are you gonna do? Like, and I remember here's my example. I had a progressive friend, not wildly. It's pretty middle of the road. But the whole Haitian migrant whipping border patrol, shades of the South and Jim Crow and, guys on horses beating Haitians, And I said to him, it was so clearly false. The president made a statement. Kamala, everyone made a statement. They all had the information. The photographer said that's not what happened. Why did they do that? And he went, that's low-hanging fruit. And I was like, oh, so it's just an easy opportunity to call someone a racist? Yeah. And I'm like, but why is that a good thing? Like, if you're the president of the United States, why is it a good thing to have an easy opportunity to call your border patrol racist? Why is that a happy thing? Why is that positive for you?
And it's also, I always think about it like as a white males, we're all white males in the room, so we know that we're demonized. We're the great villains of society in this story that the left is telling, and that's not great. Like I don't love being demonized. I don't care that much, but I actually prefer that. I think we in some ways we get a better deal out of it because the other option, if you're not going to be the villain, then the other option is in the left's world, is that you're automatically the victim. You have no control over your own life. Everything is hopeless. You have no chance. Everything's stacked against you. You have no agency, no autonomy. That's the message they send to like every other group that's not white males, and it's a demoralizing message for everybody, no matter what group you're in. But in a lot of ways, I'd prefer, because I like to have control over my own life, so I'd prefer for you to just tell me I'm a piece of shit, and I can deal with that. But to tell me I'm a victim and I have no control, and the country is systemically, not only is it systemically stacked against me, but it will never be fixed, and I can't do anything about it. It's like. That's even more demoralizing. It's just an utterly hopeless message.
I agree, and that's where it goes from sort of, oh, this guy's just pandering, trying to get votes, to this is really destructive shit you guys are talking about. Yeah. You're really hurting people here. You're hurting families. The group you're planning on saving, you never save, and you've demoralized them, and you've taken away their agency, and it's so destructive. And I don't know if they know it or care about it, and I'm not sure. Like, what does Joe Biden think? Or does he just say stuff? Or does he care?
Yeah, I mean, Joe Biden doesn't think anything, we know at this point. He has no thoughts in his head. But I think that the rest of them, they don't, I think that they don't care. I think that they realize that racial conflict and racial strife for, the entire history of humanity has been a potent tool, has been something that nefarious actors can exploit for their own, to gain influence, power, and money. And they recognize it as that, and they're very we talk about the left like we say that they're very emotional, they're overly sensitive. I think we've always gotten that wrong, because being overly sensitive means that you have an excess of empathy, which actually isn't a bad thing. I know people who are sensitive in that sense. They're just very empathetic. They cry at like life insurance commercials and that sort of thing. That's not the left, though. It's the opposite. They're very pragmatic, especially the politicians, and they recognize that this is just something they can use to exploit for their own power, and they're going to do it. And the fact that it is destroying society is a cost that they're willing for us all to have to pay.
You can find Biden talking about airline fees. That's the one I wanted. And the reason I really drill down on this one, that I think people are kind of numb to this stuff, but he's talking about extra fees, garbage fees at airlines, and he's confusing because no one knows what he's talking about. So that's the first part of this. But the second part, and this is where it gets super insidious, he goes, these extra fees hurt poor people and people of color, which is like, now it's really bad. It's not just hurts poor people or people of color, and from a percentage standpoint, there's more poor people of color than there are, Asians or whites. But now you're in your own group that doesn't, even if you make a good living as a black or brown person, you're still going to get stuck by the airlines because you're black or brown. It's not even going to affect you because you're poor. Just listen to it. It's kind of insane.
Decision. Some airlines, if you want 6 more inches between you and the seat in front, you pay more money. But you don't know it until you purchase your ticket. Look, folks, these are junk fees. They're unfair, and they hit marginalized Americans the hardest, especially low-income folks and people of color.
And people of color. Well, he's such a babbling idiot. First of all, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. You get Coach Plus and you don't know it, but then you pay for it. Okay, so that's insane. But it's marginalized. It's poor people, marginalized people, and people of color are getting hit with these junk fees from Southwest Airlines.
Well, that's the systemic thing. I mean, obviously, it's worked its way into the airline fees somehow. It's everywhere. So,
how would the airline know your race when you're booking tickets online?
That's a good. Well, maybe they go by name. I don't know. If your name is Marquise,
then Marquise, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Then they got you. I mean, but it's the implication is that like we can't care about something unless it specifically affects black people more than other people. Well, it's like, wouldn't it be good enough to just say this affects everybody? So then we should care about it for that reason. But everything that happens, I mean, they do the same thing with climate change. They say that climate change supposedly is threatening it's an existential threat to all of humanity, which if that was true, which it isn't. But if it was true, that, that's enough reason for me to care about it if it was true. But they have to say somehow that this thing that's going to destroy all of humanity will have a greater impact on black and LGBT folks who are going to die twice from it. I don't know.
Let me dispel that myth. I live in Malibu, right on the ocean. So that hot, boiling, rising cauldron is going to take us all out first, and it's all whitey. That's all they got over there. Yeah. So we're on the front lines. If you really think about it, I mean, there may be Jay-Z and Beyonce are over there too, but for the most part, it's going to be me and DiCaprio that are going first, before it gets to Compton.
Right. So white people are the marginalized community in this. Mm-hmm. In this
it's the good citizens of Malibu.
That's poor people. It's poor people.
It's tough. I'm ready though, man. I got my water wings.
Struggle's real.
Yeah. So it's insane and it's sad and it's insidious. And it should be considered sort of grotesque to more Americans, but most Americans are sort of somewhere between dumb and scared, and they just don't want to get involved.
Or they're outside of, I think Justice said earlier that people want to be polite. That's one of the things that really infuriates me about this. The racial stuff, the pronoun stuff. The left, they're exploiting what is actually a good instinct in a lot of people, where they just want to be polite, they want to get along, they don't want to cause problems, they don't want to hurt someone's feelings. Like for me, I don't care at all if I hurt someone's feelings, and I recognize that that's actually not the healthiest way to be.
No, I suffer from that disease as well. I have a caveat, though. My caveat is as long as I'm right. Yeah. And if I'm correct, then I don't care about your feelings.
I feel the same way, but I also it's like that's not. Well, I'll speak for myself. I feel I should probably care a little bit more how people feel than I do, but I just don't care at all. So the people that do care and they're like tempted to use the pronoun because they really care about this person's feelings, I recognize that as it's like you shouldn't use the pronoun, but that's a positive. That comes from a positive place within you. You care about someone else's feelings. That's great. The problem is the left, like they exploit that. And they make it so that the best defense is to just be like a sociopath who doesn't care what anyone's feelings are.
Well, here's how I sleep at night as a fellow who doesn't care about anyone's feelings. Two things. I care greatly if I really legitimately think I did something wrong or hurt somebody, like really did something, then I'm very hard on myself. But if you just want to be outraged because you like being outraged, then that'll be your business. The way I justify the lack of using of pronouns and things like that is I don't think that person and or somebody calling me racist or misogynistic or homophobic and wanting me to apologize and I've hurt their feelings because I didn't apologize. I don't think they think it. I don't think the pronoun person really cares. I think they like having dominion over you. I think most of this stuff in the language stuff is just to have dominion over you. The reason you can't say, you have to say person of color, but if you say colored person, you're fired, even though they mean exactly the same thing, is just them to have dominion and trip you up. And if you really think about it, when Marquise was going through life having to tell everyone how to pronounce his name correctly, he's in charge of that conversation. Meaning if that guy who makes $13,000 a year got in front of Jeff Bezos and Jeff Bezos was like, Marquis, could you, it's Marquise. Jeff Bezos for a second would go, so I'm sorry. He'd be on his heels for a second. It's controlling the language. And I learned this because I had kind of a communist, progressive hippie grandma. All she did was correct everyone's pronunciation of everything. And what it was is, she was in charge while she was correcting, and you had a certain amount of anxiety of speaking in front of her because you go, okay, she's going to stop you and tell you what this is. I noticed this years and years ago when I did Loveline. I'm talking mid-'90s, and when people call in or whatever, and they go, wow, my boyfriend's seeing impaired. And I'd go, he's blind? He's impaired, seeing impaired. Blind. Is he blind or can he see some stuff? Can he drive at night or just during the day? Seeing impaired. I go, okay, you're not helping me. I can't say blind. And then there was, this person's wasn't a rape victim, was a rape survivor. So it's a constant, these aren't illegal aliens. These are undocumented workers or whatever it is. It's a constant tweaking of the language and the way they do it. And by the way, it's the Cannes Film Festival, then it's the Cannes Film Festival, then it goes back to the Cannes Film Festival. It's all to correct you, and it's all to have dominion over you. Because first off, the notion that someone is a race expert, they just anointed themselves race experts? What is a race expert? How does that even exist? How would you possibly be a race expert?
Yeah, I totally agree that it's a power game, especially with the pronoun stuff, much of the time. But then there's also some of these people have actually been pulled into this, and on the race end of it, it's like you've got these. In the film, we go to, there's a race to dinner. It's called Race to Dinner, and these white women sit around a table, and they hire these two other women, Regina Jackson, Syra Rao, to come to their dinner and call them racist for 2 hours.
I love it.
And you think, well, I know why Regina and Syra are there because they're getting paid. They're getting a free meal, they're getting paid, and they get to just insult everyone at the table for 2 hours, and then you thank them at the end of it. Like I would do that. But the white women, it's like, what are you doing? What do you get out of this? This is so unpleasant. What do you get out of it? Part of it, yeah, is like a virtue signal. They want to be able to tell their friends, oh, I did the race to dinner. Have you done that? But then there's also the other part where they really, especially when you're in the room and you see these people, like they're really affected by this. They believe it. Like they go around the table and they confess their sins of racism, and they're crying, telling a story about like, I called the police on a black guy because, well, why'd you call the police? Because he was breaking the law. Well, that's not racist, but she thinks it is. She's coming with this like burden of guilt.
Yes, the one woman was married to a black man and would shush him sometimes in public, like we've all been shushed by women hundreds of thousands of times.
Tone policing.
And that was tone policing, right, which is a perfect example of, it's a sort of Michelle Obama, someone cut in front of me, the froyo line. Yeah, that happens all day, every day. Stop turning it into a racial incident. And any guy that's ever been with a woman has been shushed at dinner after a couple cocktails and telling a story about some jack-off buddy of theirs, and the other table doesn't need to hear the story. But because she's married to a black man, now it's a tonal.
I mean, I got to hand it to the guy. That's a nice little hall pass right there. I wish I had that myself. It's like I'm up running my mouth, and my wife looks at me, and I wish I could be like,
play the
I'm
race
black.
card.
I'm.
Yeah. So, do you guys think that I am hopeful that we are sort of wrestling this stuff back from society, the insane fringe in society that's sort of, it's a kind of raid on Entebbe, you know what I mean? They just, crazy people hijacked our society. Small group based on the fear of a larger group. And you see the dominoes are starting to fall. Like Black Lives Matter, in 2024 is not what it was in 2020 or 21. Like, the average citizen does not feel the same way and is not nearly as fearful. And then you go COVID, Fauci, all things COVID, vax, all that, which, by the way, same trajectory as Black Lives Matter in about the same period of time as well. And simultaneously, all right, that's all. You can speak freely now. You're not worried about being shunned from society. The transing and all of that, and the kids and all of that movement. Same trajectory as COVID and BLM. Like, people scared to death, didn't have a dog in the fight, but weren't going to get deplatformed, whatever. They all got, but it took people like Matt and many people kind of sticking their neck out as kind of early canary in the coal mine folks going, I'm gonna speak up even though this is super unpopular. But it's happening more and more, and it's happening faster. Do you think we're wrestling it back?
I think we are. I think, like, on the trans stuff, when we did our first film, What is a Woman, and this is 3-4 years ago, we made it. We went around, as part of the film, we did man on the street interviews with just random people in 5 or 6 cities around the country talking about these issues, like, should men be allowed in the women's room? What's the definition of woman? And 3-4 years ago, we found that the vast majority of people were too terrified to talk about it. They were giving us answers that we knew they didn't really believe. Mm-hmm. I think that if we went and did the exact same thing today, the same questions in the same cities, and talked to the same number of people, there'd be a lot more people who'd be willing to say on camera, no, of course men don't belong in a women's room. What are you, crazy? Like, a woman is a female. What else would a woman? I think there'd be more people willing to say that, which is on top of the legislative victories and all that kind of stuff, that's a sign of cultural progress on this issue. Same on DEI. Like, I think 3-4 years ago, you asked people about DEI, most wouldn't even know what it is. If you told them what it is, I think most people would feel like they had to say, oh, well, diversity and equity is a good thing. I think now you do the exact same thing. I think most people, they know what DEI is, and they would talk about it with kind of a roll of their eyes because they see it as in a negative light. What we have to watch out for is, okay, DEI is not long for this world. It's going to go away because it's such a joke now. Like, most people perceive it as just a joke. Does it get repackaged? Because the grifters aren't going away, and they still want money and they still want the influence. They're not going to give it up easily. So do they just find some new thing to repackage it as? Because that's usually what happens. These ideas just get like recycled. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they're just bad ideas that have been recycled, and eventually people get tired of them, and they start to call bullshit on them. But I think it's interesting, just to point out the through line that sort of started with the film we made together, No Safe Spaces, which focused on these kids on college campuses. They were the agitators, they were the protesters, they were wholly consumed with identity politics, cultural Marxist ideas, all these bad ideas. And of course, back then when they were rioting and protesting, and there was a lot of people who made the mistake of saying, oh, these people, once they get to the real world, they'll wise up, they'll get jobs, they'll get a bit of reasoning in their heads. Well, that's not what happened. What happened was they went into the world, they went into corporations, and they corporatized it. They sanitized these insane ideas. And so now we have a situation like those same people that we were talking about in No Safe Spaces that were doing this stuff on campuses, they're the diversity officer at a company getting paid, $200K. Right. And they've taken these ideas and they've made them into a multi-billion-dollar industry. So that's a repackaging right there that Matt's alluding to. And so, yeah, they're not going to let go of that very easily. And the way we just talked about how they can control language kind of allows them to do those pivots. And again, they're taking advantage of the fact that people just want to be nice. They don't want to be called a mean person.
Yeah, so can you guys, and don't let me put words in your mouth, but it seems to me that we have a very interesting experiment coming up in about 60 days, which is we're going to find out if we're at our saturation level with this or if we're going to sign up for another 4 years of getting our ass kicked by this before we then hit our saturation level. Like there's it's a funny conversation I always have with people living in Los Angeles. I go, when are we going to make a change? When are we going to decide that all the homelessness and all the taxes and all the regulation and all the clutter and all the traffic, when are we going to do this? And then the number one answer I always get is, well, we haven't bottomed out yet. And I go, okay, but why do we have to bottom out? Why can't we make a change before we flatline, And they go, well, you got to bottom out. And I go, listen, if I had a son and he was a junkie, I wouldn't wait for his heart to stop beating. I'd find a few syringes in his nightstand, and I'd probably try to get him help then. And people are literally going, to wait till he dies, and they got to get the paddles out. And I'm like, all right, but I don't get that. We're obviously heading a direction we don't want to go as a society, as a nation. And I guess we're going to find out whether we want to change course with Trump versus Kamala. Whatever you think the course is, we're going to keep going. Kamala will be more of the course and maybe faster down the same direction. I'm not even going to argue if the direction is good or bad. I personally don't like the direction, but let's just say it's another direction and Trump's going another direction. So we're going to vote and see if we want to go faster in the direction we're currently heading. And now, if that happens, then we will kind of bottom out, and then 4 years from now, we will change direction, I assume. But what do you guys think?
Well, I think part of the problem is that the decay and the chaos and, how unpleasant everything is that you're talking about. Like that's a feature, not a bug for the left and for these Democrat politicians in particular. It's like we talk about the out of control crime rate in a lot of these cities with these woke DAs that release. They give you 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 chances, and they keep releasing the criminals back onto the street. And basically, they say until you do something so unbelievably heinous that even I am forced to imprison you, we're going to keep letting you go. And then the crime rate spikes, and we look at that and we say, well, clearly your policies aren't working because the crime rate spiked. Well, no, it's actually working exactly how they intended. That's exactly what they want, because these are people. It's hard for normal people to. Certainly, we can't relate to it. It's hard to even conceptualize it. But decay and collapse is the point. It's actually what they want, because fundamentally, you're dealing with people, I believe, who really just hate human civilization. They hate people, and they hate civilization. They hate Western civilization in particular, and they want it destroyed. Now, the problem is they don't know what they want to replace it with. They just want to take the thing down, and then in the rubble, it's not like they want to build something new in the rubble. They just want to live in the rubble, I guess. So
this is the example I use. I'd say, living in California, I'd say I own, let's say I own a business and I'm in a warehouse. And then Gavin Newsom's my forklift operator. And he keeps punching holes in the wall with the forklift forks and knocking shelves over and doing everything. And then I keep going, is he trying to destroy my business? And people go, no, he's just bad at the forklift. He's bad. He's a good dude. He means well. He just keeps knocking stuff over and punching holes in everything with his forklift. And he smashed your car with the forklift. And I go, I think he hates this business. And they go, no. He's trying to do a good job on the forklift. Everything's going to shit. But he's a good guy, and he's trying to do well. So I was sitting there kind of going, is he trying to destroy this place with the forklift, or is he just incompetent operating the forklift? And most people go, well, of course he wants the business to thrive. He just doesn't know how to operate a forklift, so cut him a break, which is a weird thing when your excuse for the guy is he's just really bad at what he does, but he's not a bad person. But after a while, you start to think maybe he hates this business. And I don't legitimately know. And I think Matt is kind of saying he wants to see the business go away.
I think he does. Well, yeah, I think he hates the business. That would be my answer. And if you listen to left-wing activists in particular, they'll have moments of honesty on this point. And then they'll have moments of honesty, and then they'll backtrack a little bit. But it's like with BLM back when that was relevant, and on their website for a while, they had language like they want to dismantle the heteronormative family structure or whatever.
Right.
And it's like, well, first of all, what does that have to do with race? Especially because like the big problem in the black community is they don't have that family structure. But it's right there. They use words like dismantle in a positive way, and just think about that. Like no other political movement, conservatives don't do that. We never say we want to dismantle. Like we don't.
Well, hope and change. Like change what? Yeah. What's all the change? What are we talking about with all the change? It's
like, and this is again something we kind of get wrong as conservatives because we say, oh, they want to redefine women. Well, not really redefine, because redefine means you get rid of a definition and you're replacing it with a new one. But they want to just get rid of the definition and replace it with nothing. They want to just get rid of the thing entirely so that the concept doesn't mean anything anymore. And so I think that is their objective.
I don't think he wants to get off the forklift. I think he just wants to keep driving it. He likes the forklift, and he doesn't want anybody to take him off the forklift. And if he's got to back and knock over a thing so they could say, okay, you guys, can you clean up? And then I'm going to go over here and do this over here. And I think he's just buying time on the forklift.
I think there's a nihilism to it where you just sort of want nothing. Or I think Matt's right, which is all they know is they don't want this. And there is no, what are you offering in replacement of this? It's just nothing. But we don't want the patriarchy. All right, guys, let me give you a plug. Am I racist? Once again, just turning Hollywood on its ear, and I'm tickled pink. I really am, and I've always said this is what it's going to take. There's no more negotiating with the studios and the man and the mainstream and Disney and whatever. It's just Gutfeld, go do your own late night show, but Daily Wire, just go make your own productions. Like that's where we're at now.
I'm just curious, Adam, because you being in my view one of the comic geniuses. What was your favorite part? What would you like the most? We tried to make a funny movie, but what, from your opinion,
it's
out?
In the trailer, so it may sound like a cop out, but doing the morning show and Matt getting the women on their feet to purge themselves of the racism using body movement and stuff is pretty damn strong. The dinner was pretty good. I think the constant interruptions from Matt during the circle.
There's a lot of different types of humor in there, and
it's always funny when the person is so earnest who's running the meditative circle where everyone's going to just sit and just be silent. I'm dying to hear a fart at that point. And then she's so central casting.
Right.
I mean, these women, a lot of them were just right out of central casting, and then Matt constantly interrupting and then asking questions and getting sent out of the room. I mean,
you're right about out of central casting. I think one of the issues that we've had with the film is people almost don't believe it's real because it's like too
on the nose. They're literally. It's so. Some of those women are so on the nose. They do seem like you went down and cast them.
Right.
So, Mazel Tov is
thanks.
Ben's people would say. Am I Racist? It's coming out September 13th. It's in theaters, and it's a good way to buy a ticket and wrestle some of our society back.
Yeah, and I hope all the people that have ever had to sit through one of these DEI workshops or a Zoom call or whatever it is at work, that's our target audience here. Anybody that's had to suffer through this really needs to see this film.
I got to tell you, I had to do Well, I've had to do a few, but I had to do one when I was at KLSX Radio. And my whole team had to go, morning show team. And I got everyone in the room and I said, now listen to me. Don't any of you assholes say a word. Nobody say a word. No questions. No question. No word. It's going to take about 90 minutes if you shut up. If you start asking questions, we could be there for 3 hours. I'm your boss. I will fire all your ass if anyone has a question. You sit there silently, look bored, let the lady with the big amber beads on just get through this thing, and then we'll get the hell out of here and eat lunch. And we got about an hour in, and there was no question. Everyone just sat there. And at some point, she gave this example. She goes, oh, and what if a Mexican guy robbed a liquor store? Would it be okay to say we're looking for a Mexican male who robbed the liquor store? Would that be okay? And then she's like, it wouldn't be okay because his nationality shouldn't be a part of it and blah, blah, blah. And she just kept going on about the Mexican male and you shouldn't say Mexican. And I'd say, well, why are you saying male? I got pissed off and yelled at. Why male? Why are you including me? Yeah. Her whole thing was, it's not fair to the other Mexicans. I'm like, well, then it's not fair to me because I'm a dude. And you're calling this guy a male. So it should just be somebody robbed the liquor store, now go find him. And then everyone who worked for me, who I told to give a vow of silence to, looked at me and like, okay, loudmouth, now we're getting into this. And I was like, I couldn't take it anymore. All right. Am I racist? Once again, out of the park. And keep it going, fellas. That's what I got to say. I'm going to be in Corona at Dos Lagos Amphitheater doing a show. That'll be coming up this Sunday. Go to AdamCarolla.com for all the live shows. Until next time, it's Adam Carolla for Dawson Deaf Frat Guy, Matt Walsh, and Justin Folk saying mahalo.